Mahaprabhu is crying out to us to wake up. And he says that you have forgotten the way of devotional service. So he says that when we come to this world, we pray in the womb and we almost assure God that this time we will, be very devotional in our lives. But somehow as soon as we come out and the glare of Maya, we become so forgetful of everything. And he says that I have descended to this world to save you. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that I have come to save you all. Right? And there is no better friend than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's telling, God is telling himself personally that look, I'm your best friend, I'm your ever well-wisher. So, and he says, I've also brought the medicine for you. And what is that medicine? Enechi or Shodhi Maya, Nashi Bara Lagi. Right? I've got the medicine to destroy the effects of Maya. Nashi Bara Lagi. That means, Maya ko nash karne ke liye the aushadhi that is required. He says, I have brought this with me. And what is that? Yes, it is the Maha Mantra. And he says that I have brought this Maha Mantra and this will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you are suffering, which we are suffering. And then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says at the end, he says, I fall at the Lord's feet having taken this Maha Mantra. So very, very beautiful bhajan. So we try to sing this one. Jiva jago, Jiva jago, Gaura Chandra bole. Jiva jago, Jiva jago, Gaura Chandra bole. Kato nitra jao maya, Vishachira kole. Kato nitra jao maya, Vishachira kole. Ajibo boliya samsara bhitore, ajiva boliya aise samsara bhitore, dunya rohile tume avidyara bhore. Gora Chandra Bole. Maya Ishachira Kone Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Gorantai 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 Jai Gorantai Jai Gorantai 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 Jai Gorantai Jai Radha Damodar Radha Sankirtan Yagya ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. So what's the time?
6:54.
6:54. Okay, so we will do a very express discussion on the Chaitanya Charitamrita, 15 minutes. Okay, one verse we'll do. It's a very, very beautiful verse today. So I plan to cover 5 verses, but then we'll just do one today. Is that okay?
Yes.
And then we'll have some more kirtan. Where's my bag? Just see my bag is there? No. You see where my bag is there? बैग में चैतन्य चरितामृत यहाँ पे ये ब्लैक वाला ये है क्या? ब्लैक वाला ऐसे ही कोई बात नहीं इसमें से कर नो So everyone kindly repeat after me. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktagana.
Jaya Jaya Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktagana.
Shakti Deha Koreyena Chaitanya Varnana.
Shakti Deha Koreyena Chaitanya Varnana.
Jaya Jaya Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktagana.
Jaya Jaya Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktagana.
Shakti Deha Koreyena Chaitanya Varnana.
Shakti Deha Koreyena Chaitanya Varnana.
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatesha Tarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Papanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So last time we discussed 4 verses starting from 111 to 114. And in the last 4 verses of chapter 7 of the Adi Leela, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts to expose the false arguments or the false interpretations of the Vedanta Sutra, especially of the Mayavad philosophy. So he gives the direct understanding in one verse, but after that you will see that he is just exposing what the different arguments that the Mayavadis give, which are not acceptable or which are indirect interpretations of the scripture. So last time he said in a very beautiful verse, we'll recite that text 111. He said that Brahma Shabde Mukhya Arte Kohe Bhagavan. Chittashvarya Paripurna Anurdhva Samana. So this is a very beautiful description of what the absolute truth is. Sometimes we wonder what is, the ultimate truth. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining in just few words what the ultimate truth is. And he is saying that Brahma Shabde Mukhya Arthe, that means the direct understanding of the absolute truth is what? The Artha Kohe Bhagavan. And Bhagavan is what? Chit Aishwarya Paripurna. He's full of spiritual opulences. And then he clarifies that no one is equal to him and no one is greater than him. So just in a few words, he explains the direct meaning of the absolute truth according to the Vedanta Sutra. And then he says that the body of the Lord and everything about the Lord is spiritual. Okay, so he has a form, but he doesn't have a form like ours. His form is completely spiritual. But the Mayavad philosophers, they deny this form to the Lord. They say that the Lord is impersonal. He's devoid of all form. And then he says that that the Lord not only has a form, he says in 113, he has a lot of potency, means he has a lot of abilities. Just like in this world, that a very influential person. What do we think of him? Like, why is he so influential, or why is he important, or why is he famous? Because of what? Just because he sits at home and does nothing? Huh? Usually what is it? In this world, either has beauty, he has some talent, right? He has some management skills that we see, like big corporate CEOs. They're managing, vast amounts of, money. So many employees, thousands and thousands of employees in hundreds of countries. So many different systems, so many assets. Their own personal bank balance, their own family, their friends, their network. So they're doing so many things. And that's why we value that person. We say, wow, this person is so great. Because look at their ability. Look at what they're doing, their results that they're showing, all the transformations they're making happen. But unfortunately, the Mayavadis, they deny this, that God has no potency or no Shakti. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in 114, he says that this interpretation or this meaning given by Shankaracharya is actually not his fault. Even though the explanation is faulty, the explanation is imperfect, but Shankaracharya himself is not at fault. And why is that?
Carrying the orders.
Yeah, so he's been instructed to give this kind of interpretation, to draw, this class of people back to the Vedas. And now in 115, which we will discuss today, so let's recite this verse. Prakrita Koriya Mane Vishnu Kalevara.
Prakrita Koriya Mane Vishnu Kalevara.
Vishnu Ninda Ara Nahi Hara Upada.
Vishnu Ninda Ara Nahi Hara Upada.
Prakrita Koriya Mane Vishnu Kalevara.
Prakrita Koriya Mane Vishnu Kalevara.
Vishnu Nindara Nahi Hara Upada.
Vishnu Ninda Ara Nahi Hara Upada.
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that one who considers the transcendental body of Lord Vishnu to be made of material nature is the greatest offender. He says, Vishnu Ninda Aranahi. That means there's no bigger offense than this, than saying that, the Lord's transcendental body is actually material. He says there is no greater blasphemy against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada, he writes a very elaborate purport to this. And he makes some very, very amazing points, which we will try to quickly cover in the time that we have. We have another 5 minutes, so we'll try to cover this purport. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada begins by quoting Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he says that the variegated personal feature of the Absolute Truth is Vishnu Tattva. And that material energy which creates this material cosmic manifestation is the energy of Lord Vishnu. So there are two things. One is the form of the Lord, which is full of variety. the variegated personal feature. That means he has a personal feature that is full of variety. And what is that? That is Vishnu Tattva. And the material energy which creates this cosmic manifestation is an energy of Lord Vishnu. Okay? So the Prabhupada says that the creative force is merely the energy of the Lord. But the foolish conclude that because the Lord has distributed himself in an impersonal form, he has no separate existence. The impersonal Brahman, however, cannot possess energies, nor do the Vedic literatures state that Maya is covered by another Maya. So now Prabhupada says that there is so many references in the scripture, explaining Vishnu Maya. Krishna says that it is my divine energy, Mama Maya Durattaya, in the Bhagavad Gita 7:14. So it is not that Maya is controlled, that Maya is controlling the Supreme Lord, but Maya is being controlled by the Lord, and Maya is the energy of the Lord. Okay. So therefore Lord Vishnu cannot be a product of material energy, because this energy is coming from the Lord himself, and it is his separated energy, an energy that has no influence on him. Like the example is given of our shadow. Right? Does the shadow influence us? No. The shadow exists because we exist. So similarly, Maya is the external energy of the Lord, and Maya has no influence on the Lord. So that's why Prabhupada says, how then could he be covered by the material energy? Because if the energy is his, and he is the source, and he is the controller of the energy, how can the energy control the Lord? That would imply that the energy is more powerful than the creator of that energy, which does not make any sense. So that's why Prabhupada says that if that were possible, material energy would be greater than the Supreme Brahman. And then Prabhupada says, even these simple arguments, however, cannot be understood by the Mayavadi philosophers. Then Prabhupada says another thing. He says that Lord Vishnu cannot be considered like the demigods, like any other god. So sometimes, the Mayavad philosophers, they say, okay, all these forms of the Lord, they're all one. They're all the same. Vishnu, Durga, Lord Shiva, they're all the same. So they're very deeply connected, yet there are differences. And Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna says in the Gita that those who worship the demigods, they go where?
To the planets of the demigods.
Huh?
Ultimately,
No, where do they go? They go to the planets of the demigods. And those who worship Krishna, where do they go? Yeah, so they go to, Krishna's abode. So it's not that the destination is the same. And then he says in the Gita that those who worship the demigods for material desires, their intelligence is actually stolen. They've lost their intelligence. So Prabhupada says in this purport that you cannot equate Lord Vishnu with other forms like the demigods. And Prabhupada quotes that if one has to become free from the material influence or Maya, then they have to surrender to the Lord himself, because Maya is his Shakti. Krishna makes it very clear that Devihi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durattaya. And then Prabhupada says that One who thinks that there is a difference between Lord Vishnu's body and his soul dwells in the darkest region of ignorance. There is no difference. It's not that, Lord Vishnu's body is material and his soul is all spiritual. No, it is one and the same. And there is no difference between Lord Vishnu's body and Vishnu's soul, for they are Advaya Gyan. That means they're non-dual. They're one. They're not dual. So in this world there is a difference between the material body and the spiritual soul. But in the spiritual world, everything is spiritual and there are no such differences. So these are very, very simple but very powerful points, philosophical points that Srila Prabhupada is making in the purports. And he says that the greatest offense of the Mayavadi philosophers is to consider Lord Vishnu and the living entities to be the one and the same. This is another point that he's making in the purport, that the living entity is eternal, Brahman is eternal, and ultimately we can, once we are free from the influence of Maya, we also become, that Brahman. So we also merge into that, and we are all one. But here Prabhupada is saying that this is actually, a big offense. It is the greatest offense to consider Lord Vishnu and the living entities to be one and the same. And then he quotes the Padma Purana and he says, one who considers even the worshipable deity of Lord Vishnu to be stone, the spiritual master to be an ordinary human being, and a Vaishnav to belong to a particular caste or creed, is possessed of hellish intelligence. One who follows such conclusions is doomed. So in this one purport, Prabhupada explains so many philosophical points and the faults of the Mayavad philosophy. So since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has made it very clear that this is the greatest offense, to equate the living entity with the Supreme Lord, and to consider the Supreme Lord's form to be material. So that's why they're the greatest offenders. And this is why when we read Srila Prabhupada's purports, we can understand that why Srila Prabhupada constantly is exposing this offense and the limitation of Mayavad philosophy. Why is he exposing that? And why is he taking so much time to explain that how faulty this logic is? Why? Because this is the greatest offense. And if we are offenders at the Lord's lotus feet, then what chance do we have in spiritual life? Okay. So I will end here today. Unless you have any questions or anything you'd like to clarify, or anything you'd like to share. Yes, Prashant.
Prabhuji, how we can understand that we are qualitatively same but quantitatively different from Krishna?
Yes. So in the next 4 verses that will be answered. So you'll have to wait till next Saturday, because there are 4 beautiful verses that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes. He quotes actually 2 verses from one from the Gita and one from the Vishnu Puran to explain this point. And then he also explains in his own words, in 2 beautiful verses, the difference between similarity and the difference between the soul and the Supreme Lord. Okay. Anything else?
Not a question. I don't know if this is the right thing to ask or not at such a point. But I always have this thing in my mind that Lord Shiva has been instructed by Lord Vishnu or the Supreme Personality to come as an incarnation in the form of Shankaracharya. Now he he was not offensive because he's been instructed. Now people who've been actually following this philosophy, they are the biggest offenders. So in what particular way, because obviously Lord never wants that anyone actually become offenders at the latest stage, right? But then they are still doing those offenses. But now if we talk to them, we ask them, they say, it's not, even if you believe, they'll ask us, even if you believe that he is Lord Shiva. So we are following what he has instructed us to do. We're not doing anything beyond what Lord himself has said it. So how could we really understand?
Yes, so not only did he instruct this, but he also instructed something else along with it. What is his ultimate conclusion? If you read this Bhaja Govinda, prayer, if you see in this, he says, what are you, spending your time, wasting your time on this, grammatical jugglery and this and that, so just worship the Lord. And he is claiming in the Shiv Puran that he's telling Parvati why he's doing it. So if you just take one thing of Shankaracharya, right, and if you don't take, what he's saying in a holistic way, then it's like what will be explained is that, the logic of the, half the hen. Yes, Ardha Kuti Nyaya. That you accept the, you accept the half of that hen which gives the egg and you want to reject the other one because it's useless for you. So that is not, that's false logic. Right?
Are they still being considered as offenders now, even if they're following half of the hen as they said?
Yeah, in one sense, yes. If they are following only half they are offenders. So, see, even sometimes you'll see that devotees also, they take certain things from Prabhupada's purports and they'll say, they will justify something. Look, Prabhupada has said that. Right? But what about all the other things Prabhupada has said? And how does that fit into everything that Prabhupada has said?
I understand in what particular direction I am following.
So, okay.
Thank you.
Prabhu, would you like to add anything to this? Yes.
I have a question. Could you explain the last part a little bit more? That those who consider the God Vishnu to be throne, that part is clear, but the Vaishnavas who belong to a particular caste or creed, their tendency to. What does that mean?
Where does it say that?
In the last
paragraph. Not Padam, last sentence.
Oh, okay, last. Those who consider.
Devotees also.
Okay, yes. Those who consider the Archa Vigraha of the Lord, right, the worshipable deity of Lord Vishnu to be stone. Right, okay. The spiritual master to be an ordinary human being. Okay, so if you consider, the spiritual master just like an ordinary person, so that's also offensive. Okay. Why? Because the spiritual master has completely dedicated himself, to serving the Lord. So in that sense, he's one with the Lord, because his desire and the Lord's desire are the same. So if you consider the spiritual master as ordinary, then that is also offensive, because he's not the Lord himself, but he's as good as the Lord. Okay. And the last one is that if you consider a Vaishnava belonging to a particular caste or creed, that means you think, "Are ye to Videshi hai." Are ye to, he's a good Vaishnava because he's from a Brahmin family, and he's from a meat-eating family. But a Vaishnava who is actually following the principles of devotional service, regardless of their background, they should be treated with great respect and not, discriminated, because they were born in a certain family or they come from a different caste or from a different background, which, maybe on the surface may be considered, from a lower class.
So do they elevate once they are a Vaishnava? Does that not matter?
What do you think? Huh?
So nothing else matters.
Yes. Ultimately, our bhakti matters. Our consciousness matters. Our love for the Lord matters. Not, our background, our education, our beauty, our knowledge. Nothing matters. Yes, Prabhuji, Adiguru Prabhuji, yes.
Yeah, I just want to add to that point because it's a comment. So, it's a small journey we had, but I can see very clearly from the association you have with the devotees. I would not know except one or two what's their family background. I normally know them by, like I know Nitai Prabhu. He's for Nitin Arora, for example. So that journey or that distance immediately gets crossed when you start to interact with your devotees. That is the foundation of this the principle itself. How you interact on this matter, you will start to feel it very quickly.
Thank you very much, Hardik Prabhuji. So I'd like to welcome all of you. Thank you very much for coming, and especially we want to thank Khushi Mataji. So we tried so hard, we called so many Mridanga players, devotees, but we couldn't find anyone. Right? Finally we said, okay, there's one devotee in Punjabi Bagh. He's doing a program in Karol Bagh, and he said, if you finish on time, you call us, and then if you finish that program, then we'll tell you, okay, whether to come or not. You check the Google and see if how quickly you can make it. Then we'll tell you. So, but we got a surprise, that Sudama Bandhu Prabhu, he somehow, I don't know how, he inspired her to come here. So we're very
At 10
grateful.
o'clock, we thought that I think Khushi Mataji, she is here only because she is in Dehradun, she is studying there. So then we realized that my wife, she called, and luckily by Krishna's mercy, she is here only.
Yes. So we'd also like to welcome Gaur Sundar Prabhu and his good wife Ladini Shakti Mataji, where she's sitting at the back with the baby. Baby's name I forgot. Huh? Anadi, yes. So Prabhuji is a very sincere disciple of His Holiness Vedvyas Priya Maharaj, who's here with us last weekend. And I met Maharaj was staying with him, so I went to his house, and I had the good fortune of meeting his family. And he is a very proficient lawyer, and he works for a law firm. But his desire as to how quickly he can finish his law practices and practice more bhakti. This is like our Prashant Prabhu. Meet up, Prashant Prabhu, he's also another lawyer. So he's you're running your own practice, right? Yes. And then we also want to welcome Ekta Mataji. She has today come in person. She joined, I think the last time we joined on Zoom. And she is also, from a management background, and she studied in the US and worked there and lived there for 10 years. And I don't know how coincidentally, she also started her career with Deloitte. I also lived there for 10 years, and she said, I also lived there for 10 years. I was like, so we met at the temple, Radha Gopinath temple. That day I was giving the class, so, and she said, I've heard of you and I want to attend your Chaitanya Charitamrita class. I said, you're most welcome. So, thank you very much for coming. And we also want to heartily welcome Jatin Prabhu. Where is he? He's come all the way from which Africa? Nigeria. Okay, which part? So he's spending a lot of time in Nigeria. Although he, do you know who he is? You know Charu Mataji? Our poet and writer. So I'll be forwarding you some articles written by her, in Back to Godhead. Now she has a dedicated column in the Back to Godhead, and I'll forward you her first 2 articles that she has written. So, so we are very, very talented devotees here. So, and there are many of you. Actually, I don't know your names, and I want to welcome all of you. Prabhuji, sorry, ma'am. Anand Vrindavan Das, haribol.
Came from Noida.
Noida, all the way from Noida. Jai, haribol. Thank you very much. So you're Hardik Prabhu's friend?
Yes.
Huh? Okay. And there's some others who are here.